Welcome back to Nick Landis Comic Corner Classic / Known Classics. This is episode number 2233 and Doubleshot number 2127. Now, I do have two Marvel trades. One is from Peter David, the other one a character who was previously written by Peter David, but not this miniseries. Alright, first up we have is X Factor Volume 4, Heart of Ice. Yes, I believe this is Volume 4. Yeah, so this contains X Factor, Volume 3, Issues 18 and 24. And by the way, in case you're curious though, next came a side conflict, which I have discussed already, so with this, I reviewed the first 27 issues of this run, which is awesome. Which means I only have, for this volume, about 23 issues left to review. Heart of Ice is simply, well, X Factor versus this guy who's just basically, it's them versus XL. That's mostly what the story is. Yes, a private detective agency is fighting off against XL. Yeah, Quicksilver's here. He also loses his ability to use speed. Yeah, because the Terrigen crystals actually was in his body, they get removed thanks to losing his shirt. No, seriously, that's what happens to him. And they also run, for some reason, they run into the frickin' Blob. Yes, who's actually trying to put his weight back on, making him back what he was before the whole thing. Yep. So, and then we see Morrow, who's no X-Men character. Fun fact about this character, you know, this character was actually used for a character in X Evolution named Spike, and they made him Storm's nephew for some reason. Yeah, also Kalisto's here too. It's a really interesting story per se. Guy named Just Hauber. At one point, we actually have Lila getting briefly, apparently getting killed, but then she survives thanks to Quicksilver. Yeah, Quicksilver saves, which I thought was quite weird. Yes, and my only guess is the reason why Quicksilver was included this run, because I'm sure Peter David probably felt as though he needed to use the character because no one else was using him. For the story to happen just before Messiah Complex, it's pretty interesting what it is. I give this book a 9.5 out of 10. Next up we have is Deadly Neighborhood Spider-Man. This particular miniseries is actually, get this, the third of a trilogy miniseries for that started with Non-Stop Spider-Man and continued with Savage Spider-Man and wrapped up here. Yep. Mostly for this particular miniseries, which is 5 issue, it's Spider-Man versus the Demon Bear from New Mutants. I'm not kidding about that. Also, he becomes this for some reason. This is not the same people who did the Werewolf by Night miniseries. This is Taboo and B. Irwin with Juan Ferreira of the artwork. Yeah, so most of the point is Peter versus Demon Bear. It's like him versus X-Men Demons, this miniseries. I'm like, for someone called Daily Neighborhood Spider-Man, it's more of a magical series. And aside from Spider-Man himself and Demon Bear, is there any, familiar characters in this one? Not really. Because most of the he's on the west coast of this miniseries. Yeah, for some reason he is, and it looked like also they debuted sort of a new character called, who gets the powers, and gets the powers, call herself. And so, you can't call herself Spider-Woman because that name is taken already. And kind of Spider-Girl was like, well, why not Dream Spider? But I was like, okay, that fits. Yep. Miniseries actually is pretty good. It's weird though, this is the conclusion of this trilogy of miniseries. Yeah. It's also weird though the fact that this book went through several different writers with it. Yes, with Non-Stop Spider-Man, it's done by Joe Kelly. Yeah, from what I heard, according to the artist, who was the artist in Non-Stop Spider-Man. What story is called Big Brain Play? It was Chris Bachalo. He said that the reason why it ended up only 5 issues was because apparently they were going to have a new creative team take over the book. Yes, that is what I heard. That is what Chris Bachalo told me about it. Instead, they just relaunched a Savage Spider-Man with Joe Kelly. Yeah. That's the thing about it. Joe Kelly did the writing here, but the second miniseries, he took over. Of course, Juan Herrera did pretty much the artwork. Also, for some reason, Baron Zemo, who featured in the first two miniseries, not featured here for some reason. I don't know the reason for it. It's weird, and apparently this miniseries was next step in that trilogy miniseries. Yeah, and then also for some reason they featured a Beetle in here too. Now, it was also a character named Krista Kareen, who appears in the miniseries and she becomes Dream Spider by toward the very end of it. Yes. Final saga from Taboo. Let's see. Let's see. So apparently they previously wrote, well, of course he wrote Werewolf by Night, of course. The Spirit Adventures of Ghost Rider. Apparently he did the Kalua comic book, but now currently he's doing Daredevil and Echo. Yeah, they say trilogy, but my guess is part of the same trilogy. I'm not sure. It's not really clear about that. Yeah, I thought that was kind of weird. But for this miniseries, I thought it was pretty interesting what it was. Nothing terrible with this miniseries. It's just that, well, why would you say it's a limit? Why would you say it's inclusion even though it doesn't feel like it? Yeah, it didn't really feel like it for some reason. Yeah, that's the only problem I have with this book. It felt like it was its own thing, and just them supernatural stuff. Nothing with Baron Zemo for some reason, and not done by Joe Kelly. Yeah, I'm not sure why. I give it roughly 9 out of 10. Yep. All right, so that's the episode of you. Next up is going to be another comic corner with digital stuff, and then it's going to be Dr. Stone. Okay, next video. Bye.